Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here. Today we are jumping into arcade. We're doing Crow Bomber Advance. I love the variety we have here in this game. There's just a boatload of different ways you can customize and all sorts of combinations. It's crazy, but anyway, I just beat this last night actually. It was the day after picking it up, and I was made aware by Wobbly Legs and Sally Mangoes of some mechanics that I was not utilizing. And even though I did read the manual this time around, some of the things were not mentioned. So once I actually put those to use in these runs, I cleared it, I think the first time, and then I did another run right after, because what happened is in the first run I cleared it, I took out the boss like a fraction of a second after the timer went out, so I didn't get the red gem thingy. So I was like, you know what, I'm not taking that. We are getting that jewel, and that's final. So I did another one, and it's such a good game. I love the charm of it. The simple visuals, like everything's just so chunky. Oh, it's so boxy. Like, I love it. It's just fantastic. So anyway, this isn't an official guide or anything. This is just an opportunity to share my thoughts and just hang out and that kind of stuff, since not everyone is going to be into the no commentary versions. But yeah, I will definitely have a no commentary link if you want to watch that version specifically. That'll be in the description. But anyway, I do love all the colors in this game, the flow of the patterns, like literally everything. When you just start to memorize it, it just gets so good. So my strategy with this one is to just do as much damage with the bomb and point blanking as possible. There's a part, I don't recall if I did it in this run or not, but where you take out the next phase before it does the like side-to-side laser beam thing. I might have missed it by like a second or two, I don't recall, but we'll see in a minute. But I just love how much you can dismantle in this game. Oh, the bosses are just fantastic for that. Yeah, we did. Sweet. So nice and fast. Oh man, so good. And another thing that I really enjoy about this game specifically is just how perfect it is for all skill levels. It's very generous with what it offers the player, and with the options available. If you don't want the game to be as generous and you want more of a challenge, then you can just select that. But I love the fact that you can just be constantly using and getting more bombs, healing and getting hearts and all that kind of stuff. It's just, this game is so good. I am still so blown away. I was not aware this was on Switch. This would have been a day one purchase had I known. Yeah, so good. So not every boss is a fight where I go for like an all break, like destroying every single little section or whatever, but whatever. Sometimes I just say, you know what, I just want this thing down now, so we're just going to take it down. And, oh man, I cannot get over just the variety of enemies. Like, there's just something so cool about this. It kind of reminds me of Monster Sanctuary in ways. There's a goblin village in this like forest area, and some of the enemies in here remind me of that, like the things that look like orcs flying the like wooden harpoon ships or whatever they are. But I just love that you have animals, you have spirits, you have like medieval fantasy creatures like orcs and whatever, in these contraptions flying through the air, and you also have like evil spirits and like just awesome machines, even army tanks. Like, it's just such a mashup of all sorts of different things, and yet it just fits so perfectly together. I just love it. I would absolutely love to see more like this. There's something so satisfying. Like, honestly, I think one of my favorite mechanics in shmups is point blanking. Like, when you can just get right up to something and take it out so quick, that is just such a satisfying feeling. Same for like dismantling. I don't even strictly mean killing it, but just when you can take things out like the side sections or whatever. Now, interestingly enough, I know very little about how deep this game is. I know Octane mentioned there's like a lot of depth to it, and I don't doubt it. There are some things that I noticed, for instance, in this level, the big beetle boss that we just fought sometimes shows up, and other times he doesn't, and then you go on to the final boss of the stage, of course. But I'm not sure what the conditions are for that. I didn't see anything in the manual. Maybe it's like a time-based thing or a score-based thing, but I would imagine if I look it up, then I'll just find it, but I just haven't gotten around to that yet, because it's not really too much of a concern for me. But yeah. And I just love the attacks, the colors, everything is super discernible. There's never a moment where you're like, oh, I didn't see that. Like, everything is blatantly in your face, and it's just a matter of dodging. And I love how tight the controls are in this. Some games, when you tap, it just does too much. And I love when games are just so perfect in the sense that, like, you just do a tap and you will go over, like, a micromillimeter. It's so fantastic. Oh, the sheer variety of attacks in this is so cool, and how they overlap and everything, I love it. I pretty much love everything about this game, seriously. For whatever reason last night, yeah, one of the, during some of my runs, I'm not sure when it was, but something kept tripping me up. I think it was like the train boss. That was one that really tripped me up the first time, like the first day I was playing it or whatever. Yeah, because there's just a lot of stuff moving all over the place, and you really gotta... I very quickly found some safe spots that you can utilize, and what I really like, with the crow specifically, when you're holding down the power shot or like the focus shot or whatever, he has those wings coming out the back, like the energy blades, and that is super, super effective. I'll point it out when we get there. I don't need to get ahead of myself, but I'm just kind of saying it for a mental note. But, yeah, I just love it. Like, we got, like, what looks like spaceship stuff. Like, this is sweet. And then, like, flying skulls. And, like, mage birds. Like, this is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm not sure what I'm going to tackle next in this. I really love the combo that I hit up. Like I said, day one, I was experimenting with the risky mode, where you... If I remember correctly, you can't take a single hit. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that or just experiment with some other things first. But eventually it would be neat, because the thing with this, nothing really catches you off guard. So if you were going to go for a no miss, I feel like obviously it's gonna take some time and practice or whatever, but for the most part I feel it's a little more feasible than some games might be. Because as long as you're remembering stuff and just keeping a watchful eye, it's not like there's going to be any really wonky or fast-moving whatevers that catch you off guard. I always love train fights. There's one in Anger Force Reloaded. Actually, yeah, it is a train. There's a section where you're going up against like a train, and then I think one on the other side or something, and then there's like a train boss at the end with all these huge moving pieces and whatever, like big guns, I mean, like turrets and all that kind of stuff. So here's the part. You'll notice I just killed an enemy on the left corner. That thing that would... Yeah, like right there, it shot red. Normally the wings will destroy before it even starts moving up the screen. So I really like that spot. Man, these skulls, I swear. There were times where that would take me out like 3 runs in a row. Because it's like, oh, they just appear. Actually, that is one thing that might trip up a no-miss attempt, now that I think of it. I think that's one of the few things that kind of just appears and you're not sure where. And this is an interesting one. As long as, or at least what it looks like is as long as you use a bomb, you kind of, or maybe it's just the fact that I had never gotten so close to actually shoot directly because those things shield her. But I typically just use a bomb and then get right in her face. But man, the charm oozing from this, oh, cannot get enough. The whole game is honestly such a blast, but I think once I get to this stage, that's when it's like, okay, here we go, like, things are ramping up. And we got some wicked, wicked enemies. Another thing I like is when you have kind of like a general versions, like, and I mean, not general as in like, oh, the standard, but like a, like rank. Like you have your normal beige colored dudes like these ones here, and then you have like the red ones, and I feel like in games, whenever there's like a red version or like a slightly different hue, you know it's like, oh, some stronger version or something. I have no way of like saying if that's actually what they've done in the game, but that's just kind of what I think about. Those birds are pesky at times. I love these huge, like, molten rock snakes or whatever they are. This game has been such a blast. Like, sometimes you'll play a game and there's really not much to figure out. It's like, okay, you know what to shoot and kill, and that's that. But with this, there's a lot to puzzle out in terms of how best to dismantle a boss or an enemy, what point to go for on its body or whatever, how to start weaving. Like, it's just, this has been such a fantastic experience playing this game. Plus, it introduces a lot of really great attacks for learning. Like those purple ones right there, like they're extremely easy, but to a beginner it might seem like chaos, but it's literally just like a few taps to one side then the other. This part can sometimes trip me up. This is actually another one. Just ignore what I said about the no-miss thing, because obviously there are plenty of things where stuff can just appear. Oh man, water is so good. This part can be a bit dicey if you're not careful, but as long as you have bombs, which you pretty much always will, then it's great. And this is another boss fight. The first time I did it, it felt... I wouldn't say it was like intimidating, but it was like, oh my god. There's a lot going on here. We got these like birds trying to zap me, and I've got to weave through these red things. But once you get the hang of it, it's super, super smooth, and it's a really fun boss fight. And the first time ever getting here, I almost got it, but one thing I do love is when a game catches me off guard. Like, obviously, it can't really pull the same trick twice, but I'd say this... I'll get back to that thought in a second, but this is probably one of the more tricky... Like, if you're playing this as a beginner, or even not necessarily a beginner, just like, if you're just less experienced, rather, these types of attacks can really mess with you. taking damage as if. But yeah, the big attack wave, or like the big beam that's coming up, that caught me off. Because the first time it happened, I didn't realize it would start like filling the bottom of the screen up and like rise upwards. Or I think that was redundant. Rise. So yeah, that claimed that run. But there's just a lot of unique stuff. I feel the same way about Crimson Clover, like stage 2 boss, how it does like the ground smash and then like explosions of bullets go flying up into the air. Stuff like that is just ingenious. So I really like seeing the boss's attack in here that I just touched on. I love stuff like this too, where like it's just a spray of pixels because a million things are just being blown to bits. Everything's so chunky and crunchy in this. It's so good. And I love the little blue, like, spirits or whatever those things are. The first time I got to this stage, I did not last long. I think I made it to the beetle, which I think is maybe about halfway through, I'm not sure. But the one after that, it was even shorter. I got nowhere. I had no bombs left. I had 1 health, and it was just, yeah, went right into the ground. These jets, again, like if you're inexperienced, it looks crazy, but they go down so quick. It's, oh yeah, one thing I wasn't doing the first day was just making use of collecting hearts for health. And I love the fact that they throw in bullet canceling enemies too. The big, the demon dudes. I love that kind of stuff. So this is how far I made it the first time I got to this stage. A very, very simple boss, but a lot of fun. And I think there's something to be said about games where it's not necessarily like the biggest challenge you've ever experienced, but it's so incredibly engaging. And it's just all around fun. Like, that speaks volumes to me. Because something can be relatively simple and not fun because of that. But when something is a blast and fairly simple, that says somebody is working magic. Man, these beetle bosses are so cool. I really, really want to see another game from them like this. Not to mention, it's just refreshing having more medieval fantasy shmups. You get to see different settings and things that you normally don't in sci-fi. Like, it's either you're going through, like, outer space, or you're flying along the top of a huge ship or something like that, or the inside of, like, a massive structure with, like, steel and circuits and everything. But here, like, we've been through a graveyard, a forest, like, all sorts of stuff, like, in the center of a volcano. I love this kind of creativity. And there's obviously a lot I could be doing to improve my method. It's not like I've even necessarily learned the best way to maneuver with these patterns. It's kind of just whatever. Because I think at this point it was only the... Yeah, this would have only been the second time making it past the halfway beetle boss. I have a totally different method already. I did a clip this morning on Twitter where I take out... I go to the very bottom left to start the fight, and then as soon as those 3 skulls appear, I zoom to the other side, and then I use a bomb for the right-sided arm. Or, it's left, but our right. And then I go back to the other one to finish it off, since I had already been firing at the very start. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. And I love the bombs. Cannot get over this game. Sometimes I don't bother getting the hearts because the amount of time you need to not be firing so that they come to you automatically, or at least that's what it appears. I think that's how it works, based on what I've experienced anyway. Sometimes it's just not worth it because I just want to keep laying the damage on thick. Man, so cool. As if we're already at the end. I usually just bomb there because it's like, whatever, let's just get up in this corner and deal with this next hand. And sometimes I just take silly hits for whatever reason because I'm just too close, and at this point, since I knew I had already cleared it once, it was like, okay, I'll just be a little more daring. Whereas the first time, I was obviously just staying right at the bottom, and that's obviously what led to running out of time. By just a little bit, that is. But yeah, I love stuff like this because it's, like, as long as you're keeping your cool, it's not actually a threatening situation. It kind of reminds me of Space Moth. I forget if it's the stage 3 or stage 4 boss, but there's a section where you are literally surrounded in a field of bullets, but as long as you just make the tiniest microscopic movement to one side, then the next, and then up and over again, you're good, but you've just really got to pay attention. So cool. So there you have it. By the way, if you ever do want an official guide for specific games, please let me know in the comments or just on Twitter or whatever the case is, because I'm more than willing to take a look and see what I can get together. But I think just in general, it's nice to have more of a casual hangout vid. But yeah, anyway, I don't expect anyone to sit through all the credits, and I don't really have anything else I need to say at this point, so I think I will just leave off there. There is one thing, I do like that there are these little animations at the end here, because at the very end we see that the gem is restored to its place, but then it starts smoking the black evil energy or whatever. I don't think smoking is the correct word, but it's kind of just like a hint that, ooh, there's something's happening, or there's going to be a comeback or whatever, which would be cool because, yeah, like I said, I'm all for this game and I would love to see another one. It doesn't even necessarily have to be the same, it doesn't have to be a sequel as long as they make another game, but I think a sequel would be really cool because, yeah, they can just continue the adventure and explore familiar yet new things as well. So Yeah. Anyway, that's where we're leaving off, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out today. And let me know what you think of me doing it this way, with the no commentary in the description. If you're into that, then sweet, I'll do more. And if not, then that's great too. But yeah, we'll see what gives. Take care.